Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Always so wonderful to have you be a part of the show every weekend. It's always even wonderfuler when our sponsor of the show arrives to do Missoula Real Estate Today, that being Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Welcome back.
Hi, Danny. Good to see you. I love your new word there, wonderfuler. I don't know if I can say that.
Well, it's taken years of broadcast practice.
Right? And, Peter Christian used to always come up with a word of the week.
Yeah, well, we have to talk in crazy terms because you are in such a crazy industry.
Oh my gosh!
What has this been like for a realtor, even a longtime pro and an experienced veteran such as yourself? Some of this has just got to be blowing you away.
You know, Danny, 30 years in the industry, and I've never seen anything quite like this. It's been a challenge. It's been competitive. It's been a nightmare. It's been a lot of things. But, it's pretty interesting because the good news is the real estate market in Missoula, Montana is pretty hot. Secondly, the rates are still amazing. We have got great interest rates. If you haven't heard Miles or Rob, recently talk about rates, but they're still under 3%. If we need to get one of those guys back in here soon, because I do see a shift in the wind, though. The national forecasts are starting to talk about, more inventory, increasing rates, a little bit more leveling of the playing field, if you will,
right,
in the real estate world. So it'll be really interesting to see what this next few months bring. But we are just now, what is it, mid-June, middle of June. We're just starting to see people putting their houses on the market. So interestingly enough, we've spent the last 6 months with little to no inventory. So meaning, every house that gets listed, there's 10 or 12 buyers or more that want it. And that create those competitive bidding wars that nobody's really a fan of. So it's pretty interesting. We just, beginning of June, just started putting more and more houses on the market. So we're about 6 months behind, but I think we'll make up for it in the long haul. But so the good news is there's more inventory coming. I don't really have any bad news at this point. I've been telling buyers seriously, and this sounds really weird coming from a real estate agent that gets paid on commissions, but honestly, if you're in the market to buy a house right now, I just hold a little bit tight. I would put your brakes on a little bit and don't go into a bidding war and go into paying way over asking price for something just because it's an emotional, competitive, process for you. So I've been telling buyers pretty much all year that if you have patience and can wait it out because the market's going to shift.
More inventory almost all of a sudden. Why do you think that is? Are some more sellers just thinking, well, the weather, the time of year, of course, that might have something to do with it, but is it just sellers are finally thinking, it ain't gonna get much better than it is. It's got to top out. We better finally make a move. And
that is exactly what I'm hearing on the other end of the line from people that are calling. They don't believe it's going to last, another year. So people who have been seriously considering selling their home, say over the last 18 months. I mean, during COVID, nobody was really making a lot of moving around happen. So it's a little bit of a combination of the beautiful weather. We're post-COVID at this point. Majority of people are getting vaccinated, and we're not wearing masks anymore, knock on wood, in most places. So I can successfully say we're post-COVID. So I think that's really making people think. And they read and listen to the news, and things are just not going to stay this way forever. So national predictions are fourth quarter of this year, there will be a plateauing of the inventory, plateauing of the or not plateauing of the inventory, sorry, plateauing of the crazy increasing prices and multiple offers. And so there's the folks who are just like, man, I really want that extra $20,000 to $100,000. I'm going to put my house on the market now and take advantage of this post-COVID experience, because there are a lot of buyers out there. And I don't see the buyer pool drying up very soon.
No.
We are, it's interesting. That's a whole nother conversation that we'll have here in a minute about where everybody's coming from, because I get asked that everywhere I go, but
including this show. I'll get there.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting, because I really feel like we're just seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in the COVID and in the real estate market. And I think a healthy market is an even market. It's a buyer market, seller market. It's more moderate. Right now, it's so seller market centric that, and good for me, because I list a lot of houses, and I'm fortunate that I'm on the listing side, because they will sell. It's just a matter of when and how much. But so I've been really fortunate with that. And of course, we work with a lot of buyers. Our whole team works with buyers. Becky has been in and talking about, how hard she works for buyers. But I've really not had a buyer pretty much this whole year, just because I've had a couple, but it's just been, I tell people, if you can wait, just wait. So, and again, I know that sounds really interesting, but it's right. True. It's, I don't want someone to call me next year or in 2 years and go, I paid way too much for that house. And it's a real interesting time. And I really like seeing people be patient and put the skids on for a little bit as far as the buyers go. Those are our local buyers. So that kind of leads us to the where are people coming from question.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Always nice to have Diane in here. And before you get to that, when you were talking about things leveling off, building new houses, startups, and things like that too. We have a couple of really great correspondents that we have on every weekday morning on KGVO on our news block. Dr. Patrick Barkey, economist at the university, and Professor Peter Kolb with his Forestry Minute. And both of them have been kind of, talking about building material supplies, primarily with Peter Kolb, the timber industry and available lumber. And he pointed out just recently that, that they're finally starting to catch up there, which might go in hand with more availability if there are more housing starts.
And that's a really good, we get that question a lot, because the lumber prices have been just like the housing prices, just off the charts. And so we are starting to hear, and I'm glad that you interviewed him, or that he was interviewed recently, because we're starting to see that level off a little bit too. Yeah. And so that helps with inventory, because there's not a builder out there building spec houses at the current price of lumber that I have seen. I mean, everything a builder's building that I see in the multiple listing service here in Missoula there's not much to be built. It's either they might start them and put in a plan, but they've got a foundation in, and by the time they get it out of the ground, they're under contract. So they're doing custom or semi-customs. And man, if there's people out there, because they can't keep a spec house, so they're busy, just keeping up with what they've got, with the cost of building products, with a lack of workers. Yeah. Our trades workers are getting electricians and plumbers and framers, and getting all these people back to work is going to be super key to, getting our economy back to a healthy place where we can build houses and we can get our people into homes. I mean, it's just been crazy. And it's so weird, because it's all across the industry. It's not just real estate prices are out of control. It's all very reflective of what's going on in the economy in general. And I some of it I believe is COVID related, but I don't really honestly believe it's all COVID related, because we were low on inventory. If we went back to 2019 and had a conversation in the fall of 2019, we were lacking inventory then.
Right. Yeah,
so long before COVID hit, we were in a low inventory situation. I think COVID exacerbated it. Mm-hmm. I think COVID exacerbated the lack of building supplies and toilet paper and water and, all that stuff. So it's a trickle down effect, right? And then you look at the travel industry and you can't get a rental car to save your life if you leave town. And, you can't get a hotel room now anywhere in the state of Montana this summer because people are traveling again. So it's just all across the board. And we're just one piece of that puzzle.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. And all right, on to the migration. We got word of a website. I think it's called Move Buddha. If I think I got that right. Anyway, Diane, what it said was it had a listing. We got alerted to it because and it's like it's like a website that tracks movement around people around the country. Of the 101 most moved to mid-size markets. I think I got that pretty close. Mm-hmm. Sarasota, Florida was number 1. Missoula, Montana, number 2.
Wow,
on this move Buddha migrations, just crazy.
Yeah.
So where are they coming from?
Yeah,
Realtor person.
I know it's a question of the year, and unfortunately, there's not really specific tracking as to where they're coming from. So all I have is the pool of people that we have worked with over the last couple years, and in our office, obviously, we talk about it a lot. I just spent a few days in Helena, or a couple days ago in Helena, with a group of realtors from across the state. We have this conversation everywhere I go. So, primarily this is nothing new, people.
Oh no.
Primarily California, Washington, Oregon. Those are my, where a lot of folks are coming here from. Colorado, Texas. We're seeing a lot of Texas folk up here. But that's nothing new.
No.
This is nothing new. These are all not any unusual trends. It's just there's more of them coming this way. So when the pandemic hit last year, we had a few people, a lot of people we had were already relocating from some of these areas. So it's really interesting because everybody wants to know, where is everybody coming from and where are they getting all their money? And they're selling houses in very expensive markets and moving here. But what they realize when they get here is the prices, it's not.
Hello.
The prices are honestly better in Texas right now in most markets than they are in Missoula, Montana. And so people are coming from all over the country. Where, the second part of that is, where are people going? So as an agent, as myself, working with a lot of sellers, we're relocating a lot of folks to be primarily closer to family, wherever that family may be. We've had Maine, we've had South Carolina, we've had Texas, we've had Seattle area. So we've got a lot of folks moving out also to be closer to family. For whatever reasons, and so it's been an interesting market.
Well, and I suppose you can put a lot of it under the pandemic umbrella, but not that it's any of your business, but do you ever ask, or does it come up in the conversation? Do you get a feel for why Missoula, Montana?
I do, and it's really interesting, and it's primarily, number one, recreation, access to rivers, lakes, mountains, hiking trails. Good medical. We've got 2 awesome medical centers here. I think the primary reasons people move are either jobs or family. Number 1 and 2. You either got a job and you got to move, or you're moving closer to family. So those are the reasons. But why people pick Missoula? It's definitely recreation. It's proximity to the West Coast, because you're still, a day drive to Seattle for people if you want to, fly somewhere internationally or whatever. Not that you can't fly out of here. It's just a little bit more expensive. But people love being here. It's always, this is nothing new. People want to be in Missoula, Montana. The University of Montana is a big driver with all of their programs for seniors and meaning the Molly program. If you guys haven't done a show on that, man, I have more of my.
I know what you're talking about. That's a great idea.
I can't think of exactly what Molly means, but it's the acronym for a program for adults over there, and it's cooking and language and arts, and it's super cool.
It's like a continuing education type format.
Yeah,
but,
and so I hear that a lot. People love our vibrant downtown. People love our vibrant campus. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think we're on the map. I'm not going to lie, man, the last 4 years and last 4 seasons of Yellowstone haven't hurt either.
Yeah.
When I say that, it just sounds sort of surreal, but everywhere I go on the planet, people ask me about the movie Yellowstone. So I'm like, yeah, last year they were taping in downtown Missoula at our courthouse and at Ruby's Cafe. And so it's definitely, I think, another driver, but people were moving to Montana for all those reasons long before the Yellowstone series hit. So
demographics, retired couples, single people, families, any
all
trends?
Of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above. And there's, I don't really have any tracking. I would have loved, 20 years ago to have our Chamber of Commerce partner with our title companies to create a database of who, where, why, and when. It just never happened, and it's unfortunate because we don't have that data, but it is really all over the board. I think that primarily we are relocating more senior citizens to be closer to family, in and out.
Right.
We seem to have created a little bit of a niche in that market, mostly by referral and by family members that, I love it when I sold a house to someone 30 years ago and now they're going to, relocate, and they call up and they're like, well, we're going to go now. And I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. And so, it's interesting. Unfortunately, there's not, in a market this crazy, it's hard for young families to buy homes.
Yeah.
A couple of our listings have sold to really pretty awesome young families, but at $400,000 and $500,000, it's pretty hard to make those payments. So
even with those lower interest rates,
the lower interest rates,
which may not be there,
yeah.
Who knows?
We've had a couple of our listings sell to veterans, so they've been able to take advantage of the VA loans and all of the good stuff that come with that. And so, it's just a real mishmash out there right now. But honestly, we're going to start seeing some shifting, which I'm pretty excited about. And I don't know what the future is going to hold. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. But it's pretty interesting. I think that, there are savvy sellers out there right now. And those are the people that are calling me and saying, okay, we better go now. And I'm like, okay. And one instance is a family that they have a 1 year left to retirement, and they want to sell now, and they will move to an apartment, spend 1 more year in their employment, and then they're retired, and they'll go to Thompson Falls or wherever their lake place is or their recreational property. So, people are changing their plans a little bit. Yeah. Of course, we're all about that after dealing with COVID last year. Everybody's plans changed.
Well, yeah. Let's sell the house now. We'll live here in an apartment for another year. That's not an easy fix either, is it? With the availability of apartments with some size and maybe a little peace and quiet that you would like to live in. Yeah,
that is not an easy. That's a. Every seller I go to, the first question I say is, "Where are you going?" And if they say a rental, I just say, "Man, that's tough right now. There are no rentals. They're coming. I see more and more being built, but how long have we been talking about that? They've built an apartment complex on every corner in this town, and that is no lie. Every free corner in Missoula, Montana, now has an apartment complex, including Malfunction Junction. So."
That's right.
Yeah. And so it's pretty interesting that the contractors and investors are putting their money in rental property and storage units because there's a super high demand.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Always great to have Diane in here on her show. And also thanks to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate Today every weekend on News Talk KGVO. Miles Link at Opportunity Bank of Montana. Rob Fleming from Mann Mortgage. And Carol Blodgett, makeitmissoula.com. If you would like to see a rundown of Diane's listings, make sure you visit that website, move2missoula.com. Move, the number 2, Missoula.com, which I pretty much visit every week, see what kind of, what new listings are on there and things like that. Good website, good job. About those interest rates, you said you feel kind of a change in the wind or something, maybe happening fairly soon. Are you talking about anything as significant? I don't want to downplay even a slight increase, but are you talking in your mind a fairly significant change there?
No, I don't see, and that's a good Miles Rob question. I don't really see a huge change. But tell you what, a quarter or 0.5% make a little bit of difference in that
Yes,
payment.
ma'am.
My prediction is based on what I've seen is probably 1% by first quarter next year. But I could be wrong. I mean, it's interest rates. I cannot count the shows, Denny, that we've done that I've said interest rates have to go up at some point because it's been many years.
Yeah.
And the rates have been really, really good for, the buyers, and it's really the driver in the market. And it really helped the Missoula economy and actually across the country pull out of the big recession we had. When the rates were so low, people could afford more houses as soon as lenders started lending back in 2012 and 13. So, it's been an interesting dynamic and challenging times, but I don't know if the rates will go up 1%. I'm not really a market watcher, so you have to ask Miles and Rob that. I'd be curious to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, we'll do. We need them back on. It's been quite a while since we've had those.
Let's do that. We'll get them scheduled.
I think Miles and Rob were actually on the same show, same time, and we had to do it over the phone during the pandemic. That's how long it's been for those guys. So, yeah, definitely would love to have them both back in here sometime in the near future. What about when you take on a listing, the seller's approach? Are you overall pleased with the presentation of what's being sold? I'm guessing you don't have sellers just assuming the sale and figuring, well, we're not gonna spruce that up, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do that because we're gonna sell it and make a killing anyway. Things looking. They must be looking pretty attractive because you're still getting multiple offers.
Yep. So I just take a look at someone's house and, give them suggestions, whether it means clearing out closets and bedrooms and just getting rid of the stuff. Because I think when they're show ready, those are the sellers that are making the most money because they look good. I'm not asking sellers to make a bunch of improvements or repairs or remodel a bathroom or do any major, making any major investments because they don't need to. I mean, that's the thing that they really don't need to have. But, man, they got to clean them up and they got to look pretty spiffy. And we got to have really good pictures because our pictures will definitely sell a house. But so we just do, and I give people a week or two once we do an initial meeting with them. And if they have a list of things to do and I say 2 weeks, and, man, tell you what, they're ready in 2 weeks and we're good to go. And so those are the sellers, and the strategy really is make it look good, put a good price, decent market price on it, and then let the market buyers drive the price.
Yeah.
And so if you put a crazy price on it, nobody's going to buy it, right? So we pick, here's the market analysis. It's from this to this. We pick something in the middle there, and we have been really fortunate with the amount of offers we've had over asking. Let the buyers drive the market. And that's exactly what's happening. You got 10 people bidding against one house, and they're going to pick a price that suits them. Mm-hmm. And so it's not, I know I hear a lot, the real estate agents are driving the prices up. No, we're really not. The buyers are.
Yeah.
We can't control what the buyers are willing to pay for something or where they're getting their money or where they're coming from.
Well, and the sellers, too, you can suggest a price to a seller.
Correct.
But the seller might go, no, that's nowhere near what I had in mind. Let's start here.
Yep.
And you pretty much have to, you have to accommodate that.
Yeah, exactly. So we give them, here's what and that, putting a price on a house right now is really pretty challenging in itself. But we've hit the mark on the last 3 or 4 listings that we've had, and we'll continue to do so. And our sellers are moving, within 60 to 90 days. They're getting more money than we're asking for the houses. We've created a really cool, not simple process, but we've worked with our sellers to make sure it's as stress-free as possible. We are dialed in, and we're ready for some more sellers. So I'm just here to tell you, if you're thinking about making a move, now's the time.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. And Diane Beck is our guest this week here on News Talk KGVO. When I asked you about, the demographic makeup, who's moving here, and your answer was pretty much everybody, and everybody's going to have different needs. I mean, I'm at an age where if I'm going to move somewhere, I'm going to say to you, Diane, I want it all on one level. If I'm a young couple, vertical's fine. Are there any great big holes in the types or styles or availabilities of different houses available in this market?
There's, it's pretty interesting. Missoula, I mean, we've got condos and townhouses.
Yeah.
We've got, 5-bedroom, 3-bedroom. We have every, as long as we've got inventory, we've got pretty much anything to meet someone's needs. Trends are really, a lot of people love the one level living, laundry on the main floor, master bedroom on the main floor, lower maintenance, don't want to have to spend 3 hours mowing the lawn. Hearing a lot, people, we just want simple and we want maintenance free, and but the one level living is a really big deal, and they're hard to find really nice houses that are all on one level, and we've been fortunate, but that's kind of the trend. In a market like this, people coming in that have to buy a house pretty much don't have a lot of choice.
Exactly.
It's interesting because it's like what hits the market is what they're going to buy, and but we definitely see the one levels or the main level livings move a little bit quicker than something with a bunch of stairs. Yeah,
that's probably part of consumer of buyer education. You've got to be. It's the whole flexibility, compromise, because what you just described to me, I'm sorry, there's just not a lot of that in Missoula. But here's what the Beck team, might be able to do for you. We've got a couple of other options that might at least come close to meeting that, right?
Right, exactly. And, when we talk to people, it's like sometimes what they want and what they get are going to be two different things.
Oh, sure.
And buyers actually change their minds as they go through the process, too. They might have this little, white picket fence and all of these things that they want in mind, but then they start looking and they're like, well, I could give up that, or I want this instead. So it's pretty interesting. Buyers will be a little bit flexible. And again, in a market with low inventory, they just about have to be. But it's been pretty interesting. We've been very fortunate that, that we've had a good selection of people to work with. I got to tell you, the clients we take are, I don't want to say we're like super selective because we'll work with just about anybody,
sure.
But we also, in a meeting with them and having a conversation, we got to have a common personality. They got to believe that we're going to do our job and that we're, they have to trust us and we have to trust them. So that's a big part of the interview process, if you will,
that's
when
great,
we go out and meet with sellers, or buyers. We've got to feel like we're a good match.
Yeah. Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on Missoula Real Estate Today. Before I let you go, any parting words, advice, things like that?
I have a great new listing. It's 5975 Kyle Loop.
Kyle Loop, okay.
Yep, it's up in Good and Kyle, up in the Butler Creek area. Beautiful home, 6.77 acres, 3-bedroom, 3 bathrooms, 2 levels. It's a ranch daylight walkout basement with the views of the Missoula Valley. It's absolutely a very cool house. Oversized double car garage, air conditioning for those people out there that are wishing they had some air conditioning this week. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're just putting that on the market. We just got it on this week at $629,900. So super nice, well-maintained one-owner home. And if you're looking for a little bit of elbow room and a place to build a shop, this is where it's at.
Terrific. And that location again, the address?
5975 Kyle Loop. And it's just up off Expressway. Super easy to access now with the new interchange. Well, it's not new now, but the Expressway interchange is just right up there.
All right. Get a hold of Diane Beck at Windermere Real Estate about that and others right now. Great seeing you. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you. I'll be back here before too long.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@windermere.com, or for a complete directory of Diane's listings, visit movetomissoula.com. That's move, the number 2, Missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.